All right, everybody, welcome once again to the Winners and Whiners NFL preview show. We are here to kind of take a look at the early games this coming Sunday. It's week 10 already. Week 10, man, where does the time go? As always, I'm your host, Scott the Steamroller Steehn, here to guide the ship today, joined as always by my co-host. He looks like an eager beaver. He's ready to go. It's the one, the only, Mason Folz.
What's going on, Scott? Hope you're doing well.
How often do you still get carded? Every time?
Every single time. Yeah.
Every time.
I was at the Colorado game this last weekend and standing there with my dad holding 2 beers, and the lady goes, "Can I see your ID?" I go, "Yeah, 100%. My dad goes, "Can I see, or do you need to see my ID?" She immediately said, "No, you are fine. I know you're his dad." So we hear that a lot. I'll be completely honest.
I wouldn't let you in an R-rated movie. I'll be honest with you, dude. So, and you got to see the Colorado game. I know that was exciting for you. You love spending your late Saturday nights watching Colorado be non-competitive, so that was fun.
Yep, had them to cover at least.
We covered though. Got that. Open up that back door, buddy. Here comes Colorado. Very nice.
Take it.
All right. Well, and I'm joined as always by a couple of Pats guys. I haven't heard either one of them talking about catching a flight right after this and heading to Germany. We'll find out. Mark Ruel, what's up, buddy?
Oh, the same old. I will not be heading to Germany. I don't even know if I'll wake up to watch that one. That's how bad the
Man, luckily for me as a Chiefs fan, it was on the same day that we rolled our clocks back. So I got that extra hour of sleep, and so it didn't really cost me. I was able to get up and watch the Chiefs. Good thing I got up to watch the early part, because you woke up at halftime. You didn't see much of a game. So, yeah, that's very nice. Well, condolences to the Pats fans. And, hey, speaking of condolences to the Pats fans, let's go a 1-2 punch here. Just like Brady and Belichick, we're going with Ruel and Cole. It's Seamus Cole, everybody. Seamus, what's up, bud?
As much as I appreciate being compared to Tom Brady, I don't think I'm at that level yet. But I did look up the flights to Germany, and I decided that even if I was going to go to Germany, there are better things to do than go see the Pats right now. So I'm going to still postpone that trip, but we'll see how the Pats do.
Okay, very good. It's kind of weird to see, they kind of got a bad break on the matchup. The matchup could have been a lot better. Yeah. But the Kansas City Miami, which should have been like a fantastic, unbelievable offensive slugfest, was anything but for the people over there in Germany. So we did not see any blitzkrieg, something they would be familiar with. So before we kick it off, we got to meet a happy member of our panel, because we've got 2 Pats fans, a Broncos fans, and a Chiefs fan whose team is the best record in the AFC. And I could name 20 things about this team that I hate right now. So, David, it's you got to be excited about the Browns. It's David Delano, everybody.
Yeah, and I'm glad I'm on here, man, because you got to quit your crying. Nobody cares about you talking about how bad your defending Super Bowl championship.
That's fair. I'll totally cop to that.
Every week when I'm not on here, I hear you talking about how bad the Chiefs are, and then they go out and win. So.
Well, in fairness, you weren't on the show before the Denver game, and I actually got on the in real life. I took the Chiefs because I've been fading the Chiefs the whole season and saying how shitty they were. I'm like, okay, I give. It's the Broncos. They can't lose to the Broncos. This is the week they just got and destroy them. And of course, they looked as terrible as I thought they would for the entire game. And then last week they showed up early and kind of hit the snooze button there. So we'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, they pump the brakes a little bit once they get up. You guys just kind of put it in cruise control. I wonder if that's going to catch up with you.
And Andy does not have that killer instinct. The Mormon comes out of him, and he wants to be nice to his fellow man. And it doesn't always work out. The game was a lot closer than it should have been. So, all right, we're going to kick off this week's schedule of barn burners with an absolute barn burner. I know everyone on the panel is super excited about this one. It's another fantastic Thursday night matchup. Al Michaels making $1 million a week for these games. I don't think we'd be getting enough money. This is the Panthers and the Bears. This is going to be at Soldier Field. Bears 3.5-point favorites. The total on this one is 40. Matt Ruel, you know what? You're Patriots fans, but it could be worse. Could be a fan of one of these two teams.
That's true. The Bears haven't committed to a quarterback this week yet because Fields is still it's day to day, so we don't know who's going to start. But what they do have is the fourth best ground game in the NFL, and the Panthers are just 28th against the run. And the Bears are also very good in converting red zone into touchdowns. They're 7th in the NFL, which is a good thing. The only thing I'm worried about is turnovers in this game, but luckily the Panthers turn the ball over nearly as much. So I'm going to take the Bears on Thursday night, -3.5.
Okay, very good. Seamus Cole.
I'd like to first off give a shout out to Mark for a couple weeks ago when he picked the Panthers and nobody else did. I know that was a big thing, so well done, Mark.
Very good. The lone wolf pick as the Panthers picked up their first and only victory of the season so far. Yes, an official NFL show hat tip to you, Mark. Nicely done.
So this makes me feel more confident since Mark has expert knowledge on the Panthers. I will be going with the Bears in this case. DJ Moore is turning into a legit number one wide receiver, which I really enjoy watching him play. And the Panthers are still not great on the offensive or defensive end. As Mark said, they are one of the worst rushing defenses, and they are one of the worst total offenses in the NFL. I think the Panthers game against the Texans was an outlier. I still think they are not great. And even though the Bears have not committed to a quarterback, I still think Tyson Badgett is still decent enough to get the win. So I like the Bears at home in this case.
Very good. Tyson Badgett from where? What college? Don't look it up. Don't start clicking.
I believe it's East Overshoe.
That sounds right.
Shepherd University or Shepherd College in West Virginia. So
and the Shepherd shall lead them.
Yes, that's right. And the Shepherd shall lead them. Very good. Mr. Delano, you getting on the Bears here? You're roaring with the Bears?
I might roll with the Bears. A -3.5. That's probably the way I would go in this game. I do like the total a little bit more in this one. And I know that these Thursday night games, it's easy to just kind of put it in cruise control and take the under. But I actually like the over in this one. Speaking of things I like about the Bears, regardless of who plays at quarterback, I think that they should be able to run the ball all over Carolina. Right now, Chicago's 6th in rushing yards per attempt, where Carolina's 25th in yards allowed per attempt. And even if the Bears need to throw the ball, Carolina right now 25th defending the pass and yards per pass attempt on the road. Carolina struggled running the ball, and the Bears actually are number 1 with the fewest yards per carry allowed. So sounds like that should be a slam dunk for the Bears when you look at the Carolina's having a hard time protecting Bryce Young. But there are some issues with the Bears as well. Chicago's 26th in the NFL when it comes to yards per pass attempt allowed. And the Bears are also defensively dead last in the NFL by a wide margin when it comes to getting sacked. So even though Bryce Young has been knocked on his back a lot, he may have more time to throw. And the main reason I'm going with the over as well, both of these two teams tied for last in the NFL in the red zone. Teams are scoring touchdowns 75% of the time. We'll talk about my Browns later, but Kevin Stefanski said in the speech, the only stat that matters on defense is points. And the Bears are allowing just under 27 points per game. Carolina allowing just about 28 points per game. I think both of these teams could get to 20, whether it comes with pick sixes or not. So I've got to take the over 40.
Okay. Mason Folz, how you got this one?
Yep, I agree with David. I'm taking the over 40 here as well. I think this number's too low. Like we were saying, the Chicago Bears, they're pretty solid against the run, but they're not very good against the pass, ranked 28 in pass yards given up per game. I think that Bryce Young's going to have plenty of time in the pocket, like David was saying. The Bears struggle to get pressure on the quarterback. I think he's going to be able to get us 14, 17 points for the Panthers, and they're going to help push this total over the number. Now, the Bears, they surprised me against the Saints last week. I think whether Fields or Badgett plays, I still think they're going to run this ball all over the Carolina defense. Like Mark was saying, they have the 28th ranked rush defense. I just don't see them being able to consistently stop Chicago. So I'm going to take the over 40 in this Thursday night matchup.
Very good. Sometimes the stats are tricky. You look at a team and you say, well, they gave up the least amount of rushing yards in the league, so they must be great against the run. And you look on the other side and they're giving up, 320 yards through the air. So nobody's has to run the ball. So you have to be careful. That's why, like a lot of you guys, I like to use yards per carry. I think that's a better yardstick of how your defense actually does against the run. And David brought it up. I thought I was going to go all the way through and be able to unload this one, but David brought it up before I did. The Bears are kind of quietly the best against the run as far as pass yards per carry, 3.3 yards per carry. And they've been even better lately, 2.46 yards over the last 5. This is a Panthers team that struggles to run the football. They averaged almost 5 yards a carry against the Colts, but I think that's an outlier. They're just 20th on the season overall yards per attempt. And this is a Carolina team that is just absolutely dreadful on the road. Point differential on the road, minus 12.6. Point differential at home, 5.75. I think the Bears are going to be able to shut down the run here and force Bryce Young to beat them. Spoiler alert, I don't think he can do it. I don't have as much confidence as the Carolina offense doing their share to get this one over the total. There's two bad defenses when it comes to giving up points. Carolina's 31st in the league at surrendering points. Bears not far behind them. But I think the Bears are just going to stuff the box. I think they could put 10 players in the box every play and still get away with it. Just run a one high safety here. I like the Bears. I like the Bears giving away the 3.5 at home on a Thursday night. All right. Oh man, the hits just keep on coming. We're going to hit close to home for a couple, then we'll hit close to home for one on the next one. It's going to be Colts at Patriots. This is over there in Frankfurt. Same stadium, I assume, which is a weird stadium. It's open, but even when it's open, it has like crisscross stuff that hangs the scoreboard that is easy to hit for punters, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Something they might want to have considered when they were taking bids on where to have NFL games, but I digress. This is the Colts as the official visiting team. They're 2-point favorites against the Patriots. 43.5 is your number. Is this where the Pats start that big second half, Mark?
I can't say that they will. No, unfortunately they're terrible on the offensive side of the ball. They 28th in rushing, 21st in passing. But more importantly, and this came through a lot this week against Washington, they're 27th on third down conversions, and they're off the field quickly, which kills their defense, which isn't that bad. The one thing the defense hasn't been doing well, though, is pressuring quarterbacks. They're 29th in sacks in the NFL. I think that's their undoing this week because I think they can slow down the Colts running game a little bit, but they're going to give Minshew too much time. And it showed up last week. Howell looked like a superstar because he had way too much time to throw, and he made a lot of third and long completions. So I like the Colts -2 here.
Okay, outstanding. Seamus, do we have one Pats backer at least?
We do, actually, believe it or not. Even though I want them to sort of lose so they can get a better draft pick, I do have to I am going to take the Pats in this scenario. The Pats have won Pats have won 9 out of the last 10 against the Colts. So I think Belichick has the Colts number. And to Mark's credit, yes, the Patriots are terrible on offense with the third down conversions, everything like that. But I can counter that with the Colts being bottom 10 in almost every defensive category I've looked up. And they are 4th worst in points given up per game. So if this is any time for the Patriots offense to do something, I think now in a foreign territory, let it rip. Let Mac Jones try to do his thing. I think that would be all right. And then, again, what Mark said, the Patriots can slow down Jonathan Taylor in the run game a little bit. And if Mac Jones can convert on third downs, make maybe 3 or 4 more than what he usually does, I think the Pats can come out on top. I'd be tempted to go with the money line on the Pats.
Okay, very good. Good to know. Pats have won 9 of the last 10. Seems like the Pats team, there's something different about them now that I can't quite.
Yeah, I know you're going to say that's with Tom Brady and everything, but again, 2 out of the last 3 with Mac Jones. So,
all right. Well, it's also good to know how Drew Bledsoe matched up against Jeff George. So that's very solid. All right, very good. You got a little contrarian there. David, I'm kind of curious to see what you're jumping on here, bud.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Steamroller, with something being a little bit different with the Patriots. I didn't bet on the game last week with them against the Commanders. I thought that might have been a good spot for the Patriots, and it wasn't. This is just really a Patriots team that I can't get behind at all. Anytime I get behind them and you watch them, what are they doing? I just regret it. I don't want to roll out a whole bunch of stats because almost when you look at almost any stat that you think of, the Patriots are almost, bottom 10. Yards per game, yards per play, points per game allowed, fewest points scored, third down efficiency, turnover differential. They are pretty good in the red zone. The problem is they barely get there. Only Pittsburgh
They don't get there very often.
Only the Steelers have been there fewer times, and the Patriots are also pretty good when it comes to penalty yards per game. But the Colts are better in that area. And surprisingly enough, I know they had 2 pick sixes to help them last week, but the Colts are actually the only team in the NFL that has scored at least 20 points in every game this year. So I think that they're going to get to at least 20 in this one. And as far as the Patriots, I don't know. I have to back the Colts in this one. I cannot get behind them.
All right. Mason, your thoughts?
Yep, I'll be riding with the Colts -2 early in the morning as well. I simply can't get behind this Patriots offense. Like they said, they struggle on third down. They're not scoring a lot of points, and they're making a lot of little mistakes that they haven't made in the past. I know, Seamus, you're saying that the past is going to hold strong for us here, but without Brady, I can't trust it, as I really think this Gardner Minshew-led Colts team can score some points again. This Patriots secondary, they've continued to struggle, and I wouldn't be surprised if Minshew had another big game. He's going to come in firing on the road technically, but in Germany. I think the Colts are going to get the job done for us here and cover the 2-point spread.
Yeah, I hate to I hate to jump on the Colts with everybody, well, almost everybody else there, but you think at first blush, that you get the Patriots at 43.5, like maybe about the under, but man, these teams are absolutely dreadful in time of possession. Mark brought it up earlier. They can't stay on the field on the offensive side of the ball. They're dead last in time of possession. Colts aren't far behind at 22nd. And this is an Indy defense that went from being one of their strengths the last couple of seasons to an absolute weakness. This year, they've given up 37 or more in 3 of their last 4 games, and pretty mediocre offenses. They have the Saints, the Jags, and the Browns. Only the Jags are top 10, and they are 10th as far as offensive points per game. At the end of the day, I just can't back this Pats team that has scored more than 20 points just one time this season. Although, much to Chris King's dismay, it was against the Buffalo Bills. But yeah, I've got to run with the pack here, and I'm going to make Seamus the lone wolf as he makes a true homer pick. Go! And takes the Pats while everybody else is on the Colts -2. And now it's going to be David Delano's time to shine. It's his Cleveland Browns travel to the Charm City to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens 6-point favorites. Oh, the disrespect. The total in this game 29. No, it's 37.5. It's the new thing. 37 is the new 45, as they say. Yeah. Mark, kick us off with this. And Ravens playing awful good football right now. What do you think, bud?
They are. David, I wanted to find a reason to take the Browns. I'll be honest. I was looking at them. I saw the 6 points, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized the Browns do what Baltimore does, just not as well. They're 3rd in rushing. Baltimore's 1st. They're 8th in the red zone offensively, turning into touchdowns. Baltimore's 6th. And to me, to beat Baltimore, you have to make them chase points. You have to get them behind and force them to throw. I don't see Cleveland as that kind of team that can make them do that. I think the only team in the division that can make them do that is Cincinnati. So the biggest deciding factor to lean towards Baltimore in this one for me were the intangibles. Cleveland's 26th in turnover differential, and they're 19th in penalties. And in red zone defense, they're just 28th, which is not good against a team like Baltimore that when they get down there, they pound it in. So to me, as much as I wanted, I saw the 6 at first and thought, Watson's back. It's not like the first game where they saw the rookie, but to me, the Ravens are just a better team. They do the same thing. They just do it better. So I'm going to take the Ravens -6.
Okay. Solid. Seamus?
Going to go with Mark on this one. Took a lot of the words right out of my mouth. The Browns are 1-2 on the road versus a 3-1 record at home. So I believe that's a big difference. Also, we're still not really sure about Deshaun Watson and his abilities as of yet. Still maybe injured a little bit, still recovering. So there's a big question mark on that end. And the Ravens offense is just clicking, especially with the run game. Lamar Jackson has Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers to help him out. And considering the Ravens beat up the Lions and took care of business last week, I like the Ravens -6. And as the Browns, we've hyped up the Browns defense all season long. The Ravens are quietly doing almost the exact same thing. They are, I'd say, in the top 5 in nearly every category on defense as well. So I like the Ravens -6.
Okay. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. David talking about his hometown, Cleveland Browns.
Well, this one's tough. As you know, Steen, I don't want to go too far the other side and just go into why they suck like you do with the Chiefs each week. But, when you look at a game like this, though, with a total of 37.5, and I'm assuming most people probably like the under. I mean, Browns #1 in time of possession. The Ravens are 4th. I think that this is definitely going to be one of those grinded out type of games. And I actually, a rule for me when it comes to these AFC North games, whether it's Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, I usually just can't lay points in a situation like this. I understand, like right now, the Ravens look like the best team in the NFL. But I'm actually going to go ahead and back the Browns here plus the 6. And one of the things I bring up about these AFC North games, look at the last 15 games that the Ravens have played against the AFC North. They're 6-9. And out of those 6 wins, only one of those wins has come by 6 points or more. And that actually was when they beat the Browns 28-3 earlier this season. But that's when Dorian Thompson-Robinson kind of got thrown in at the last minute. Deshaun Watson wasn't. And I understand the Browns, the turnovers have been an issue. They played a lot with P.J. Walker, Deshaun Watson coming back in that last game. Browns' kicking game has been great, as well as putting pressure on the passer. I'm not saying that the Browns don't lose this game. I hear what you guys are saying as far as even with Mark saying the Ravens do everything a little bit better if it's a money line play. I think that that's baked into this here. This kind of seems to me like it could be like a 20-16 Baltimore win. But I think Cleveland definitely is going to get to 16 points in this one. So I think that 6 points is just too many in the AFC North game.
All right, there we go. Homer pick. Mason?
I'm going to keep this one simple. I'm going to stick with the under 37.5. I think both of these teams have really good rush defenses. The Browns, they're holding their opponents to the 8th least amount of yards per carry. I think they're going to make it tough for this Baltimore offense at different points in this game, which is going to keep this total lower. And then on the other side, this Ravens defense, man, they've been on fire. They absolutely dominated the Seahawks this last week as I believe they held them under, it was 6 or 7 first downs throughout the entire game, which was pretty impressive. They've also been able to stop the run. So I think both teams are going to try to keep it on the ground. It's going to run the clock. Like David said, it's going to be a grinded out kind of game. I think it's going to be close. So I'm going to take the under 37.5.
Okay, very good. Yeah, these are 2 of the top 3 rushing teams in the league. Baltimore #1, as they usually are, and Cleveland #3 this season. So expect to see a lot of clouds of dust. We'll see how many yards they get, whether it's 3 or not. But and they talked about Baltimore did win earlier in the season, but that game really means nothing. It wasn't. I don't think it was great weather either, was it, David?
No, the weather wasn't great, but they, like I said, Robinson started his first game.
Yeah, DTR was 19 to 36 for 121 yards and 3 picks. That ain't going to win you many games. It just isn't. This is also a Browns team that hasn't been great on the road. They're just 1-2 on the road. 4-point losses to Seattle and Pittsburgh. They did manage to eke one out against the Colts, 39-38. This, to me, this just comes down to which team is playing better football right now. And I know the Browns coming off a nice shutout win, but I think Baltimore's playing the best football in the league right now. Those last 2 weeks, playing against alleged contenders in the NFC, the results just can't be ignored. And I just don't trust this Browns offense, especially on the road. I know 6 is a lot to lay in a division game. I get it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Ravens -6. All right, now we get to talk about David's adopted team as the Texans travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Bengals 6.5-point home favorites. 47 is your total. Mark, who's playing better than the Bengals right now?
Yeah, not too many teams. Not too many players are playing better than Joe Burrow at the moment either. I thought he looked like himself last week, which is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. His decision making is excellent now. You could see on Sunday night, that he was moving around the pocket and bought some time for what is arguably the best 3 receiver combo in the NFL. His defense is stingy in the red zone. They're ranked 11th, and they can get to the quarterback, which is a big thing with Stroud. I'm not going to take anything away from Stroud. He's playing unbelievable and deserves all the credit. I think he's going to have a little bit more of a difficult time against this team because they're number 1 in turnover differential, the Bengals. And the Bengals, which is surprising because this has not been their MO in the past, at least. They're the least penalized team in the NFL, which is surprising. So I think, all in all, with a healthy Burrow, we're really seeing what the Bengals can be, which is one of the serious contenders to win the Super Bowl without question. So I like the Bengals -6.5 here.
Okay. Seamus, you on board with the Bengals too?
Can't say I am. I'm not going to pick the Texans either. I think that game is just too weird for me to take either team.
Sorry, Seamus, but this is the show.
I like the over in this case. So if you're making me pick one, I will take the over. The Texans have put up 20-plus points in 6 of their last 7 games. The only game where they did not put up 20-plus points was against the Panthers. And I think that's a huge outlier. And to what Mark was saying, the Bengals, nobody's looking much better. Maybe the Ravens, but the offense is clicking again. Joe Burrow's lighting it up. They've got the 3 best wide receiver combo in the NFL, in my opinion. And the Bengals have scored they've averaged at least 26 points in their last 3 games. So I like the over in this case.
Points. David, you agree?
I actually agree with both of them. I like the Bengals in this spot. Minus the 6.5. Also like the over 47. Texans, surprisingly, Stroud, what he's been doing lately, they're 3rd in the NFL in yards per pass attempt. The Bengals 27th in yards per pass attempt allowed. But the thing with this, throw a lot of the stats out. With the Bengals on this 4-game winning streak and the teams that they've been beating, and I wouldn't really be so worried about it being a letdown spot because the way the AFC North is right now, and I know tiebreakers go into this, but the Bengals are actually in last place right now. Now, of course, that could all change and they could be second after this week, but they're technically in last place in the AFC North right now when you look at the tiebreakers. So the Bengals have no room to overlook a team like this. And Cincinnati, even last year, the last couple of years, they've been one of those teams that when they get rolling, even when there's a lot of money coming on their side, you just really don't want to step in the way of fading them, especially against a team outside the division. So I like over. I like points in this one, and I like the Bengals to cover the 6.5. Showing the Texans some love today, but I'm still picking the Bengals.
Okay, that's fair. Mason Folz, how you feeling?
I'm going to be taking the Bengals -6.5 here too. I think the Bengals are the hottest team in the NFL right now. Joe Burrow looks really good. He looks fully healthy, which I think is a big difference. And I know everyone's talking about how great their offense looked, Jamar Chase, and yes, that's going to continue to happen, but their defense has also looked really good. CJ Stroud, man, he had the best game of his career so far, lit it up. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some regression in this game. I think he might make a mistake or two, and it's going to come back to hurt him. The Bengals are going to end up walking away with this game, so I'm going to take them to cover the 6.5-point spread.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same place on this. I think if the Ravens aren't playing the best football right now, the Bengals certainly are. Their last 3 wins over Buffalo, San Francisco, and Seattle that's a pretty impressive trio right there. This is a Bengals rush defense that's been really, really good this season. They've given up less than 94 yards to everybody except the Niners, who had McCaffrey have a pretty good day there. But other than that, they have been able to lock down the running game. And we've talked about this Houston team before. It's a team that loves to run the football for really no apparent reason because they're not very good at it, but it doesn't stop them from trying. I think that lack of effectiveness is going to put a little too much pressure on C.J. Stroud in this one. I think Hendrickson and crew are going to be able to get to him, make him move around, and make him a lot less effective. I think the Bengals at home take care of business here. I'm just kind of curious. Bengals 6.5-point favorites over the Texans, while the Ravens just 6-point favorites over the Browns. So they're saying there's either the Bengals aren't nearly as good as the Ravens or the Browns are just as good as the Texans. I'm not sure what message they're sending there, but I don't agree with it. I think this number should be more in the 8.5 range. If we're being honest, I'm not afraid to play a little higher number if you get a good price on that. I like the Bengals minus at least 6.5. So. Hey, speaking of the Niners, they're going to try to stop their 3-game skid as they head down there to the armpit of America in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville is a 3-point home underdog in this one. 45.5 is the number. They no longer play at the that was never mind. That's Tampa Bay. That was the Sombrero. The Jaguars still there by the bay. Mark, who you got here?
I don't think if the number was a little lower, I think I'd like the Niners, but what I do like is the total. I think this game will go over the total. I think what you're going to see is a game that each team is going to have to throw the ball. Both teams are very good against the run. Purdy has struggled. We got the tale of two Purdys lately, right? He was 72% completion rate in his first 5 games. It's down to 62. He's thrown 5 picks in his last 3 games. But I do think he'll have time to throw in this game, which will help him immensely. The Jags are just 31st in the NFL in sacks. So he'll have time, so there'll be points put on the board, and I think Jacksonville can match them. One thing that I noticed, and I was surprised to notice this because generally speaking, Shanahan's teams do better in the second half of the season. He's just 3-4 post-bye games, and Peterson is the same. So there's no clear-cut advantage. I think both coaches are offensive coaches, so I think they'll have their game plans going in this one. And I like the total. I don't love it. If you see the line go under 3 for the Niners, I might consider it, but this game should be tight.
Okay. Very good. Seamus?
I'm not as concerned about the line. I still like the 49ers. I believe Brock Purdy will have his revival game, so to speak, against a third-worst Jaguars passing defense. All the weapons that he has, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, they're all getting healthier. I think the bye week actually does help them immensely, despite the record of 3-4, as Mark said. I think the bye week is primarily just a week for health, and Brock Purdy has that much time to get back in chemistry with his receivers, and McCaffrey is the best running back in football, and I can't really go against them. So I like the 49ers with the line.
David, want to play the Niners here?
This actually might be one of the tougher ones for me because this line looks weird, but I get it. It's the Jaguars have won 5 games in a row. The 49ers have lost 3 in a row, but up until that point, this looked like a team that could go 16-1 and possibly look like the best team in the NFL. But I agree with Mark on this one. I've got to take the Jaguars. I don't want to overthink it too much. I think, like you said, just looking at the numbers here, when you look at what Jacksonville has been doing, they got to lose this game by 4 points or more at home. I definitely think that they're going to be, motivated. The 49ers, they, went on the road and lost to my Browns team and PJ Walker, who everybody thinks of. So I'm not going to overthink this. I'm going to have to go ahead and back the Jags. To getting 3 points, I have to back the Jags. Mark said if this was a pick 'em or something, maybe the 49ers, but I'll take the Jaguars.
Scoop up those 3 points. Mason, you going to grab those 3 points too?
I am actually. David brought up my main point of the 49ers have lost 3 straight, and the Jaguars have won 5 in a row. And then you look at this game, and I think both teams are going to have to pass the ball. Brock Purdy hasn't impressed me as much the last few weeks that he's played. And Trevor Lawrence has been slinging the ball around with Christian Kirk and Ridley. I think they've got a lot of talent. ETN's looked solid out of the backfield catching the ball. I think they're going to be able to move the ball and score a lot of points. I agree with them in that retrospect. But I think the Jags are going to keep this game close at home. They're playing good ball right now. And like David was saying, everyone was all over the 49ers earlier in the season. I think some people might just blindly take them, and I think that might be a mistake. So I'm going to stay with the Jags +3.
Okay. Yeah, Deebo's probably going to be back for this game, but there's still questions about Williams and their left guard, Aaron Banks. Both of those guys are questionable as we speak here on Tuesday. By the way, always a good time to remind everybody we are recording this show on Tuesday for a Thursday release. So check your local listings because your mileage may vary. as far as some of these injuries go. Definitely check up to date, because I have a theory. I don't think they miss anyone on that offense as much as they miss Trent Williams. I think he is the guy more than anybody else that makes that offense go. And I know that's weird when you're talking about an offensive lineman, but he's just that good and he's just that important. This is a Jacksonville team that is outstanding against the run, 4th in the league yards per average, 3rd in the league in yards per game given up via the ground. And I also hold the theory that the league is starting to get a little bit of a bead on Brock Purdy. I think there's enough film right now. They're starting to discover his tendencies, and good defensive coordinators are developing an efficient plan of attack. I think that continues here. I'm not going to take the points. I'm going to take the money line. And because in 16 games between these two teams this year, they've each played 8 games, only one time has a game been decided by less than 5 points. I think the 3 points are fool's gold. I think if they win, they cover. I think if they win, if they beat the 3, I think they win the game. That's what I'm trying to say in a very, very terrible way. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars on the money line. Mason, I don't know the price. It's probably going to be somewhere in the 135 to 140 range, be my guess. But still, that's extra coins just to put in your pocket for a Jacksonville win, which I think they pick up. So, all right.
Plus 140 there for you, Steamroller.
They're good, huh? How does he do it, folks? How does he do it? Saints and Vikings heading up to the Crystal Ship as the Saints trade one indoor carpet for another. Vikings are 2.5-point dogs here. Dogs, not believing in Dobbs. 41.5 is the total. Mark, are you a Dobbs believer?
I'm a Dobbs rooter. I will say that. Dobbs did prove last week that maybe you do have to be a rocket scientist to be an NFL quarterback based on his educational history. Another one that I'm a little wary. If I had to pick a team with a 2.5, I'd probably lean towards the Saints. They're 5th in turnover differential. The Vikings are atrocious, 28th. And New Orleans is also good on the 3rd down, and they're 7th against the pass. One thing that's I think, but where I would lay my money in this one is the over. If you look at the Vikings defense, has done very well over the last 4-game win streak. They've held the opposition to 17 points. They did give up 28 this week to the Falcons. The Saints, who have struggled pretty much all year, but the last 3, they're scoring 28 a game. So if I had to lay my money in this one, I like the total. I think this total is considerably low, given the way the two teams are playing. I think Dobbs has done a good job with his legs lately, a very good job, actually. So I like this one in the over. I would go 41.5. I go over 41.5. If I had to lean, I'd lean New Orleans -2.5.
Okay, Seamus, how you feel?
I'm basically in the same boat as Mark. I'm gonna take the over in this case. That's my primary bet. To what Mark said, the Saints have scored nearly 30 points per game in their last 3. I think the revival of Taysom Hill into the run game, pass game, receiving game, all that game has revitalized the Saints offense. And Josh Dobbs has picked up where he left off, coming in on a Thursday, winning a game on a Sunday. He does his thing, and I got to respect that. So the Vikings scored 31 points last week, even with Josh Dobbs on the bench for the start of the game. So I still have confidence in the offense. Justin Jefferson, he has been cleared to play, but will he play? Probably not. They're probably going to give him some extra rest, some time to come back. And I like the over in this case. But if I had to lean towards a side, I would take the Vikings. I've been a fan of them even since they've gone 0-4. I still believed they were a playoff team. And Josh Dobbs has continued to put the faith in that I think they're still going to be a playoff team. So okay. I still like the over. That's my primary bet.
All right, very good. By the way, Mark, what do you have behind you? What is that?
That is what once was a project with my kids, or wrestling action figures gone wild, is what it is.
That is a lot of wrestling action figures.
Yes, okay. It was. It was a labor of love, and then now it just spun out of control, and then now it's displayed behind me.
How many do you have? A couple
Oh,
hundred?
God only knows. Oh, yeah, at least a couple hundred.
At least 10.
Are they worth any money?
Some are actually. Yeah, some are actually. There's some that are worth a couple $100.
I see they're all out of the package, though.
Yeah, you can still get that out of the package. I was never, again, I was doing it with my kids. When I was doing it, I wasn't thinking that. And then all of a sudden it got, it was like I shoved them out of the way and I took over. At that point, I had long since,
Dude, you had a second. When I think of all the baseball cards I put between the spokes of my tires to make it sound like a motorcycle when I was a kid. Oh, P. Rose card. Sure, I hate that guy. All right, very good. David, what you got here?
Well, what I agree with these guys on the over. I know the Saints for a long time they had that strong trend of unders, but that's been changing as they've scored 24 points, at least 24 points in 4 out of their last 5, and they've allowed at least 20 in 4 out of their last 6. But they've both touched on the over, so I'm gonna go with the side here as well, and I'm gonna take the Vikings instead of laying some juice. I'm gonna take the Vikings on the money line here. Plus 125. Vikings look like a team of destiny, at least to get into the playoffs. So the way that they've been turning things around, I personally, every year there's just certain teams like this. I hate the Saints team. I had them last week with the -8, and they had so many times 4th and 1, go for it, don't make it, clink the field goal off the upright. They've been, their wins this year over the Titans in week 1, Panthers, Patriots, Colts, Bears. Not too impressed with them, and I'm definitely, buying the Josh Dobbs stock. As we've talked about some of these other teams, and we look at the amount of points that, even though they lost, the points that the Cardinals were able to put up against the Cowboys this year, the amount of points that the Cardinals put up against the Ravens and the Bengals, they were, even though they lost, they moved the ball very well against those teams, and then you take Josh Dobbs out this week, and the Cardinals had their worst offensive performance since like 1958 or something. So this guy's definitely a difference maker, and I have to go ahead and back the Vikings in the spot to win outright.
All right, very good. Back to the pre-Jim Hart days for the St. Louis Cardinals. My God, Mason, interesting game here. How you feel about it?
Not great. This was definitely the one on this morning slate that I won't be turning on or looking at. But like David said, we must be betting the same on a few of these picks, Mr. Delano, because the Saints are my least favorite team to bet on this season. They continue to do every little thing wrong when you're watching the games when you need them to cover. So I simply can't back them in this spot. The Vikings, they've got all the juice right now. They pretty excited after last week with Dobbs, but he's going to actually have a week where he can go in, learn the plays, learn the guys he's playing with, and I think that's only going to help him. So I think the Vikings are going to continue to roll, especially at home. And, I agree. I'm going to take a money line as well.
David and Mason fading the Saints for the best reason of all. Personal animosity. Beautiful. Just beautiful. I've got the Vikings
Personal animosity here because they don't cover.
Yeah, I know. You got to hold a grudge. I'm going to take the Vikings on the money line here as well. I think Josh Dobbs' cool story, but I think a lot like C.J. Stroud, you might have caught lightning in a bottle once. I don't think he's going to have that same kind of success. However, I think he's a good solid 20th, 21st, 22nd quarterback, somewhere around there. I think he's a legitimate starter in this league. This is a Vikings team that really needs to be able to run the football, and I actually think they're going to be able to do that with the added aspect of Dobbs being able to get it done with his legs. Madison averaged almost 5 yards a carry. I'm kind of anxious to see Ty Chandler get 6 or 8 carries. Second-year man out of North Carolina has shown some promise, and we'll see if he can get a few more carries and get some yards, get him kind of double-headed monster there in the backfield. They put up 144 yards last week with Dobbs getting 66 of it on 7 carries. I think that's repeatable. I'll take the Vikings at home here. The Vikings on the money line. I'll take it. All right. Now, another beauty. It's the Packers and Steelers. Excellent. 3.5 is the number. Steelers are favored at home, and 37.5 is the total. Mark, Packers pounded that rock last week against the Rams. They're going to be able to do that against the Steelers?
I twice this year in our shows, I've gone heavily against the Steelers, and the Steelers bombed out both times. But this time I actually like the Steelers a lot. And I think it comes down to a couple things they do very well. They're very good in the red zone defensively. They're third in turnover differential. They don't hurt themselves. They're ninth in penalties, and they're eighth in sacks. I think that's what Tomlin does. He gets his team prepared. They're super disciplined, and they thrive on their opponent's mistakes. I strongly like Pittsburgh in this one to win this one going away. I can't see Love coming into Pittsburgh in that environment with their pressure and having a good game. So I think this is a big win for Pittsburgh.
Okay. Seamus, is there no love in Pittsburgh? Is Pittsburgh a bad place for love?
Probably in this case, but I was a little perplexed, not gonna lie, at what Mark just said. He mentioned Steelers and disciplined in the same sentence. That sort of threw me off a bit. But I still do like the Steelers in this case. I gotta agree with Mark. They are the fourth best run defense in the NFL right now. And Aaron Jones has looked better last week. He looked a whole lot better. He finally got healthy. But again, if the Steelers can stop Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon on the run, that will force Jordan Love to throw the ball. Jordan Love has not looked like that guy for the Packers. He's not the second coming of Aaron Rodgers and not the third coming of Brett Favre. So I don't really have faith in the Packers right now. They are 1-4 in their last 5, despite winning last week. And the Steelers, every time I look up in the standings, I say, "Oh, wait, how are they 5-3? I thought they were not good." So Mike Tomlin is doing some sort of voodoo magic to make sure they stay above 500, and I'm going to roll with that trend. I like the Steelers at home.
All right, David. Pittsburgh loves 3 things: terrible towels, defense, and Permente Brothers sandwiches. How do you see this one?
Well, when you look at a line like this, and you're thinking the 3.5. It could be tempting to jump on the Packers with the hook here, especially as mentioned. Steelers have been in the red zone fewer than other teams. The offense has been terrible, but Steelers 5-3, and all 5 of those wins have been by at least 4 points or more. 3-2 at home. I mean, they beat the Browns, Ravens, and Titans there. And the losses, week 1, home loss to the 49ers and a loss to the Jags. So really not too much to be ashamed of there. This Green Bay team, obviously they've got the Packers uniforms and that Green Bay tradition, but not much of an identity or much that I really like about this team. They snapped that 4-game losing streak. No disrespect to Brent Rippon, but, they beat Brent Rippon, who was out there for Stafford. I have to go ahead and back the Steelers in here, -3.5. I agree with what they said, what Mark said. I think that this is probably going to be at least a 6-point win. Stats aside, the Steelers find ways to win, and I've got to back them against the Packers in this one.
No disrespect to Brett Rippon. Here comes disrespect. All right, very nice. Mason, what do you got here?
That's awesome. I'm going to be taking the Steelers -3.5 as well. I like him at home, and I think Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the NFL, if not the best coach. He continues to find different ways for his team to win, and I don't trust this Packers team if they can't run the ball like we were saying. If Jordan Love is carrying all that weight on his shoulders and having to get the job done for his team, I just don't see it happening. And this Steelers defense, they've played better the last few games, and I think they're going to show up at home again in this one, so I'm going to take a -3.5.
All right, very good. These teams employ similar offensive philosophies. Run the ball as often as possible, and for God's sakes, don't let your quarterback throw it. And that's the problem is, I think the Steelers are a little better at it. I think the Steelers are a little better on the defensive side than the Packers are. Green Bay was able to get it done against the Rams, running 38 times for 184 yards. I think that is an absolute outlier. I don't think that repeats against the Steelers, especially on the road. I've got the under here, boys. I think there's going to be a lot of moving clock. There's going to be, when they throw the ball, I think there's going to be short control passes that are less likely to go for incompletions. I think there's going to be a lot of punts. And I think there's going to be a lot of long drives that possibly end with 45-yard field goals. I've got the under 37.5 right here. I'm not scared of that number. All right, let's finish it up with another dynamite game as the Titans head down to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay no longer playing in the big sombrero. Buccaneers are the favorite because, somebody has to be. -1 total in this one, 38.5. Mark, finish strong, buddy.
Thank God for the NFL ticket, huh? So many games to choose from. I'll be flicking over left and right. Titans, Bucks. Whew.
Well worth the $500 or whatever the hell it was.
So, look, Tampa Bay is good against the run, but they're awful against the pass. And say what you will, and they just announced it today, as he should be. Levy's he's injected new life into he's a new quarterback. They've said for the rest of the year, and they've been a different team with them in these two games. 250 yards passing per game compared to 200 before he got there. All of a sudden, Hopkins is once again a viable threat, nearly 100 yards receiving a game. The 2 games he's played with him, and what to me, and this is I've always had this theory: there's quarterbacks that are just good enough to make you lose, so they're viable and they stick in there. And I think that Baker Mayfield is right in that category. He's good enough to kind of keep around because he's decent, but you're never going to win anything. Jeff George, Jake Cutler, Jake Plummer, sorry. Those are the guys. Those guys that just hang around and they're okay, but you can't win with them. And I think he falls in that category. And when I'm only giving up one, I'll take the Titans with the money line here. I'll take them, either way. They're going to win this game. They're the better team, and I think they will show it on Sunday.
Okay, very good. It should be like Chase Daniel and just be happy to be a second string. Chase Daniel has made over $60 million in his career, and I think he's taken less than 100 snaps. So outstanding. Or thrown less than 100 passes. Sorry. Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that fit into that category that are just kind of in that 18 to 25 range as far as quarterbacks go. You're just, they're not going to lose you many games, but they're just never going to go to that next level. No. Seamus, how you got this one?
Well, like David and Mason have said before, I have animosity towards -1 games.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, those usually don't work out for me. But the one time it did was when I picked the Titans, and I believe I was the lone wolf a couple weeks ago when the Titans were playing 2 weeks ago when we had this cast on. So I do like the Titans. Maybe this is a little bit of bias for me, but I still like the Titans. As Mark said, the Bucs are 31st, I believe, in pass defense. And the addition of Levis and Hopkins, that combo is going to wreak havoc. And while the Bucs are good on the run defense, the Titans still have Derrick Henry. I believe he's very solid running back, still A tier in my opinion. And the Bucs have scored less than 20 points per game on average. So I believe Will Levis can elevate them to score more than that. And the Bucs are 1-3 at home. I know they're playing in a new stadium now, but something about the Bucs just doesn't feel right with me. I still like the fact that Tennessee is on the rise. They have hope now with Levis, and the Bucs have lost, I believe, the last 4 in a row, if not 3-4 in a row. So I like the Titans in this case.
David, here comes the Levis train. You hopping on?
Well, might be hopping on for the show. I don't know if I'm actually gonna bet this one, but I agree with what Seamus is saying. I think that there is definitely some hope here for Tennessee, even at 3-5. If you look at their schedule, I think that they have a good chance to win 3 out of their next 4 games. But they definitely need this one. I think they've found something with Levis. That Pittsburgh game, that was a winnable game. Looked good in that game against Atlanta, and I think that that's definitely going to make them more explosive and open up things for Derrick Henry. This is a tough one. It's the Buccaneers. They've been competing, but they had a very tough game against Houston on Sunday. We had the Thursday night game for Tennessee, so the Titans are getting, even though they're on the road, they are getting a little bit of extra rest in this time. And even though it's not always the most fun to watch some of his decisions, I'll still give Mike Vrabel the coaching edge. So I'll go ahead and back the Titans in this one.
All right. Mason, last shot for you, my friend. What do you got?
I got the Titans money line as well. The secondary for the Bucs is my biggest worry. They're giving up 7.5 yards per catch. They're going to have a really hard time stopping Hopkins in this new look Titans offense with Will Levis. He's really impressed me as he looked really poised in that last game against the Steelers. He was moving in the pocket making some pretty decent decisions. I think he's going to continue to grow with every snap he takes. And like you guys said, I think the Bucs are trending in the wrong direction. Baker, I don't know. As much as I want to cheer for the guy, he's rah. He's always going. He's just not that great of a quarterback. So I think they're going to struggle in this game. I think the Titans are going to show up on the road. So I'm going to take Tennessee money line.
I'm going to inject a little bit of sanity into this. I'm going to pump the brakes on Levis just a little bit. He had an outstanding game against the Falcons, going 19 for 29, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 130.5. Last week against the Steelers, however, not so much. 22 of 39, no touchdowns, 262 yards through 1 pick. Quarterback rating 66.4. If you prefer QBR, it was a 34.2 last week. Not ideal. So could he be a good quarterback? Sure. Am I ready to hand him the trophy after 2 weeks? I am not. I like this Tampa Bay team. And by the way, Tampa Bay is the perfect example of what we were talking about earlier. You see this team, and this is unlike years past, because they've been good against the run for about 5 years now. But unlike past years, one of the reasons they're good against the run this year, or good numbers, is because the secondary is so dreadful.
Yep.
This is just not a team that can stop anyone from throwing the football. I'm not convinced Levis is that guy. I think the Bucs, even though they don't run the ball very well, I think they're going to have enough success against a pretty bad Tennessee run defense to keep the ball out of Levis's hands. Give Mayfield a little bit of time. Tennessee needs to respect the run game just enough to give Baker that extra half second, and I think that happens. I will. Is that you, Mason?
Yeah, I think so.
That was weird because my phone rang at exactly the same time, but I don't think
it's like I got a Discord phone call. Didn't even know that was possible.
Bizarre. Anyway, I'm taking the Bucs. I'll lay the one. I don't care. That's
You're the lone wolf in that one, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. For the first time today, I am the. We got just 2 lone wolves today, right?
You may be right, Steehn. Some things to think about with Levis. You may be right. I mean, it was a short week on Thursday on the road at Pittsburgh, and that pick that he threw was with 20 seconds left. He kind of had to force it in the end zone there. I'm just saying.
All right.
All right,
we'll see. You could be right. It'd be another case of a quarterback coming from a non-storied program. Levis coming out of Kentucky. That's we talked a little bit about it before the show, about how a lot of quarterbacks coming from the prestigious programs don't necessarily have a lot of success. Or
they've sent so many guys to the NBA, though.
Yeah, that's true. Conversely, a lot of the guys that are the most successful come from down the tier programs. I mean, if you look at now, Burrow is an exception coming out of Ohio State and LSU, but Patrick Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech. Always known as a system gimmicky type of offense that rarely produces, good quarterbacks in the NFL. So
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming. That's you got Aaron Rodgers coming out of Cal, right?
Yep.
Tom Brady went to Michigan. I know
Tom Brady went to Michigan.
He had to fight for his position though, so it wasn't like he was guaranteed the spot.
I just think it's curious. I mean, if college success translated, I think you'd have a lot more national champions as starting quarterbacks, as successful quarterbacks than you do right now. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. As always, we appreciate everybody watching out there. Don't forget to check out the Whiners and Whiners website for fantastic daily predictions, the #1 spot in the world for predictive analysis on each and every game in each and every North American sport going on every single day. Check that out. You can get premium picks from all 5 of us here. So if you've watched us, somebody resonates with you, like, I like the cut of that guy's jib, what he's saying makes sense, you can get our premium games. We've got NFL packages for the day, for the week, for the month. We've got ones where I'll come by and wash your car. That's also included. So making sure you check out some of our combo packages. Let's find out where we can find everybody. Mark, if we wanted to make you an offer on some of those action figures, where could we reach you there on Twitter?
You can go and bet with Rue24 on the site formerly known as Twitter. And as you just pointed out, obviously find me on Expert Picks at winnersandwhiners.com.
Very nice. Seamus Cole, what's your social media is looking like these days?
Social media is still in hibernation at the moment in the winter, but you will find me on the Winners and Whiners page making daily picks. Looking a little flex on myself here, but I have won my last 3 best bets, so I'm on the right trend. So I'd say if you're going to pick me now. And I do write articles on StatSalt every day, ranging from hockey to basketball to football, college, all that stuff. So I'll be there.
A true multi-sport master.
Indeed.
David Delano, how about you? Where can we find you?
On Twitter at Get Sports Strong, also on the expert section of Winners and Whiners. And I think that this is going to be a great week for me in the NFL. The week before I had a 7-0 week. Last week wasn't so great, but the way that the NFL is, sometimes you have those bad weeks. I actually feel more like this is going to be a good week coming up. One of those losses was the Saints, clicking the upright, but this is going to definitely be a good week. So I think this is a great time to hop on board. And I'm not saying that. You can trust me this week.
All right, very good. So if you're looking for Seamus's picks, he's been good lately. If you're looking for David's picks, he's been terrible lately. So make your own decision there.
No. I have not been terrible lately. I had a terrible 2 days.
Happened to coincide with NFL games.
We're doing a Titans Bucks thing. So if you like the Titans, pick me. If you like the Bucks, pick David.
There you go. There you
but
go.
If you're looking at the last 90 days or the last 30 days or 7 days, I've been all right. Good.
There you go.
Just not this last Saturday.
And in true Joshua Dobbs coming to the Vikings style, he's ruling hockey right now.
Yes, seriously.
What are you on, like an 8-0 run in hockey?
Well, 10-0, but who's counting?
10-0. 10-0 in his last 10 hockey games. That's legit. All published. That's no bullshit. 10-0 in hockey. And David's been betting on hockey for, 2-3 months?
I've always dabbled with it, but I've got it down now to actually comfortable quitting.
He's always pucked around, but now he has it mastered. Very good. Mason Folz, I know you do a lot of that TikTok stuff where you're out ghost hunting and trying TikTok recipes, doing the newest dance moves. Where else can we find you?
Find me on Twitter. You can find me at Mason Folz 11. You can also find me on the Winners and Whiners TikTok and in the Winners and Whiners Discord. So we've been rocking and rolling there. We cashed 2 parlays yesterday, so things have been rolling in the Discord. Head over, click the links in the description, and we can get you involved in some of that free content.
I will say, if you like parlays, check out the King. Chris King's had a massive parlay week last week. Hit a 62-1. And that's the kind you don't have to hit very often. You don't have to hit one a week of those. That's a season maker right there. So check out Mason's pick. Check out all these guys' picks, but do check out if you're a parlay person, you're not going to find a better deal than Chris King. So check him out as well. I'm Scott Steehn. You can check me out on Twitter at Steehneroller, SteehnRoller. Also get my expert picks over there at the Winners and Whiners expert site as well. As always, we love comments. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking of the show and what you're on this week. Most importantly, we'll see what you're playing and find out what you think about which one of us is the biggest idiot with some of our picks. So it should be a fun week. I thank everybody for being here. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks we'll be back next week with the aforementioned Chris King, the somewhat surly Scott Reichel, and of course Mason Folz will be here as well. So you guys take care. Have a great week. Good luck on all your plays this weekend, and we'll see you next week.